The woman had lived next to the quiet old man for years, but had never really gotten to know him. He kept to himself and she rarely saw him outside of his house. The only sign of life she ever saw from him was when he occasionally threw a tennis ball off his back porch into the obscured fenced-in yard beyond. Presumably, this was for his pet dog. But the large, trampling feet she heard chase the ball didn't sound like the steps of any dog she had ever seen before. One night, after it had gotten dark, the woman saw something that made her uneasy. She saw a neighborhood boy climb the fence into the old man's backyard. She heard screams and wails and an otherworldly growling sound coming from the backyard. It was a sound that she had never heard before and it sent chills down her spine. The next morning, the woman saw a news article about the missing boy. Her heart sank as she realized that the creature she had heard in the old man's backyard the previous night must have had something to do with his disappearance. She couldn't shake the feeling that there was something sinister going on next door. She knew that she had to do something, but she didn't know what. She didn't want to go to the police with just her suspicions and seem crazy, and she certainly didn't want to confront the old man herself. As the days passed, the woman became more and more paranoid. She was constantly looking over her shoulder and checking to make sure all of the doors and windows in her house were locked. She couldn't shake the feeling that the old man and his mysterious creature were watching her, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. One night, she woke up to the sound of scratching at her window. She sat up in bed, her heart racing, as the scratching grew louder and more urgent. She could see the silhouette of something outside her window, but she couldn't make out what it was. She was too terrified to move. Suddenly, the window shattered and the creature burst into the room. It was a reptile the size of a Great Dane and had rows of long pointed spines protruding from its back. This otherworldly monster had glowing green eyes, rows of razor-sharp teeth, and reeked of mucus and rotting flesh. The woman screamed and tried to run out of the room, but the creature was too fast. It tackled her to the ground and she felt its hot breath on her neck as it snarled and snapped at her. Just when she thought it was all over, she heard the sound of footsteps approaching and the creature let out a guttural growl before disappearing into the darkness. The woman was shaking and covered in cuts and bruises, but she was alive. She looked up to see the footsteps belong to the old man next door. With a stern, slightly annoyed expression, he looked down and told her, "Tell no one what you have seen." He then turned around and walked out of the house. The next morning, the woman looked next door to find a for sale sign in the old man's yard. She never saw him again.